As people who absolutely adore our cats, we do just about anything to make them feel better when they're not themselves. So today, we're going to dive into a topic that's got a ton of buzz, but also a lot of confusion. CBD for our feline friends.
Cats are, and I mean this, absolute masters at hiding when they're in pain. So you have to be a detective. Have you noticed those really subtle changes? Maybe they're not making that jump up to the counter anymore, or they seem a little less interested in their favorite toy. Or maybe they're just spending a bit more time hiding away. Those little things are often the first clues that send us looking for answers.
And that's where things get tricky. You've probably heard about CBD, but you also know that cats are not just small dogs, right? Their bodies are incredibly sensitive, and trying to sort through all the information online can feel super overwhelming. You start to wonder, is it even worth the risk?
Well, that is exactly why we're here. We're going to cut right through all that noise and look directly at the science. We'll be using the latest cat-specific research to give you clear, evidence-based info so you can make a really safe, informed decision for your cat. So, let's get into it.
Okay, so the first thing we absolutely have to get our heads around is why cats need their very own rulebook for CBD. It all comes down to their metabolism, which is honestly a fascinating and critically important mystery. The biggest mistake people make is treating their cat like a tiny dog. And this chart right here shows you exactly why that's such a bad idea. Cats absorb way less CBD, they metabolize it differently, and their bodies get rid of it much more unpredictably. Let me show you what I mean with some actual numbers. All right, so after giving a cat a pretty standard dose of 2 milligrams per kilogram of CBD, researchers found the peak amount in their blood was this, 43 nanograms per milliliter. Now just kind of lock that number in your brain for a second. Now look at this. You give a dog the exact same dose, and their peak blood level is 301 nanograms per milliliter. I mean, the difference is just staggering. This really drives the point home, doesn't it? A 7-fold difference. This isn't just a small variation. It's a massive gap in how much of the CBD actually gets into their system to do its job. And this is exactly why any product you use has to be formulated and dosed specifically for a cat's unique biology to be effective and, of course, safe. So, now that we know why cats are so different, let's switch gears and look at where the science is actually showing that CBD can help them. The research is definitely still growing, but we've got 3 key areas that have emerged with some really promising cat-focused evidence. Helping with chronic pain from osteoarthritis, easing the really awful discomfort from a condition called gingivostomatitis, and even helping cats out around the time of surgery. Let's start with osteoarthritis, or OA, which is super common in our older cats. A really solid recent study gave us some fantastic data. What you're seeing here is that cats who were treated with a CBD and CBDA paste showed a major drop in their pain scores over 6 weeks, compared to the cats who got a placebo. Their owners reported they were moving better and seemed to be in less pain, which is exactly what we want to see. Now, another area with great promise is for cats dealing with chronic gingivostomatitis. It's a condition that causes really severe, painful inflammation in their mouth. A 2023 study found that using CBD as part of their treatment led to real improvements in their comfort levels and a drop in their disease activity score. This is huge because it gives us a new tool for managing a very tough condition. Okay, so the potential benefits are really exciting, but they don't mean a thing if we're not being safe. So let's talk about a practical safety checklist. Think of this as your must-have guide before you even consider starting a CBD product. There are 3 things every single cat owner needs to know. First, what to do about a very common and kind of weird reaction. Second, the most important lab test you need to keep an eye on. And third, an ingredient that you have to avoid, no exceptions. So picture this. You give your cat some CBD oil and they immediately start licking their lips, maybe drooling a little or shaking their head. Your first instinct is probably to panic, right? But take a breath. Research shows this is usually just a reaction to the bitter taste of the oil itself or the natural compounds in it called terpenes. It's almost always about the taste, not a sign of toxicity. All right, now for the most important clinical safety check. Some of the feline studies have shown temporary increases in a liver enzyme called ALT. Now, it's often mild, but it is a clear sign that the liver is working hard to process the compound. This is why partnering with your vet to monitor their liver values with blood work isn't just a good idea, it is absolutely essential. And finally, a rule that is completely non-negotiable, absolutely zero THC. THC, the compound in cannabis that causes a high, is toxic to cats. It can cause some really scary symptoms like disorientation, severe sleepiness, or something called ataxia, which basically looks like they're wobbly and drunk. You have to make sure any product you use is certified THC-free. So, this brings us to the last piece of our puzzle. How do you actually find a quality product in this totally unregulated market? Let's bust a huge myth and talk about the one document you must always ask for. First things first, let's clear up a major point of confusion. Hemp oil or hemp seed oil is not the same thing as CBD oil. Think of hemp seed oil as a nutritional supplement, kind of like fish oil. CBD oil is what contains the active compounds that have those therapeutic effects. Buying hemp seed oil for pain is like buying regular cooking oil for a headache. It's just not going to work. So, how do you know what's actually in the bottle? Simple. You demand to see a certificate of analysis, or a COA. This is a lab report from an independent, third-party lab that proves how much CBD is in the product, confirms it's THC-free, and screens for nasty stuff like pesticides and heavy metals. If a company can't give you one for the specific batch you're buying, just walk away. Period. And finally, when it comes to dosing, there is only one safe way to do it. Because of that really variable metabolism we talked about, the golden rule is start low and go slow. You begin with a very small dose and increase it gradually over time, and you do all of this under the direct guidance of your veterinarian. They're the ones who can help you find that sweet spot, the lowest dose that's still effective for your cat. Phew, we've covered a lot of ground, right? From their unique metabolism to the latest research and all those safety checks. So, what's the big takeaway for you and your cat? Here it is. For certain conditions, like osteoarthritis or chronic mouth pain, CBD really can be a game changer for a cat's quality of life. But, and this is a big but, that potential can only be reached safely. Because their metabolism is so unique, and because the market is so messy, using a third-party tested, THC-free product and working hand-in-hand with your vet isn't just a suggestion, it's an absolute necessity. And of course, we always have to end with this. Remember, this information is for educational purposes and is not a substitute for professional veterinary advice. If you have any concerns about your pet's health, please consult with your certified veterinarian. They are your best resource for ensuring your companion lives a long, happy, and healthy life.